Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon. So last episode we went and got an island set up on our coral farm, and I really like how this turned out. Gone and gotten the rest of the detailing blocks in, and I love it. I think we probably need a few more stairs and slabs, but it's been difficult to try and figure out where to fit those in. And I believe we still have a few coral fans that we still need to put on here. But beyond that, we are just about done with the main part of this area. We still have a few more islands to get some details on. The snow farm and the moss farm still don't have any details. Several of the farms still don't have islands underneath them, just floating in the space. And the spire still needs to be built, and the rest of the pit still needs to be dug out. But while we've been trying to work on balancing all of those projects, we've gone and gotten one more thing added, which is a sugarcane farm. Figured we probably needed some more rockets to be able to get around this place easier. The islands work really well, and our gas works fairly well as well, but neither of those compare to the speed of getting around here with rockets. So we are going to need some more rockets to get around here a little bit easier, and also just get around our world a little easier. So as you can see, I've gone and gotten the sugarcane farm in the hole that we left for it, right in the middle of our cliff, and I really like how that turned out. So it's currently just going into a hopper system. We still need to get a collection system to send it into our storage system properly, which will probably just end up being a dropper directly into the bubble column, which also still needs to be brought down. We have a lot of very small projects around the area that eventually just all need to get done. But today, what I think we're going to do is we're going to work on some of the smaller farms that we have around the area to put in. We do have about 4 more farms to put into the spire: kelp, both of the nether vines, and bamboo. I would also like to put a glowberry farm in here, but that's going to be a little different in how it's built. But as you can see, we only have one more space marked out for farms in the spire so far. We want one a little bit farther up than what we have built on the backside, and I haven't figured out where we're going to put the rest. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the kelp farm in place. So how we're going to do this is we have our stone. Going to have to go ahead and get some of our stone stairs here on the side. Those are just to make sure that the water doesn't float everywhere, and also that it restores the water every time the farm breaks. Because when the kelp breaks, it's going to turn into flowing water in the middle, and we really do not want that. I've had issues in the past where the broken kelp won't flow up into the collection system because of the flowing water, and I don't know if it's still going to. As soon as more kelp grows, it's going to fix itself. So I do this just in case to prevent that from happening. So we're going to use our various stones that we have as our base, since we can put kelp on pretty much anything, which is very nice to work on this. So we have our base there. We're going to have to go ahead and put it on the sides, and then we can have our pistons right above that. So once we go ahead and fill this up with water, that will be all set. We'll get our glass in. So the glass will only go on the spaces that we have open. The rest of these areas, go ahead and fill in with our stone blocks here. So it kind of matches the actual spire in how it's shown. And it looks more like this has actually been built into the side of the spire. So I think that is just about all of the front, which means that we can go ahead and start getting the water in here, except for the fact that I apparently did not finish the blocks on the underside of our pistons. So let's go ahead and get those in, get the water in place, and then we can get our kelp started. All right, so we're going to go ahead and leave one block here without kelp, just so we can go ahead and pick up more water to fill in the second layer here, which we're gonna have to do from the inside because this is only a 3 block tall. space for our window. So let's close that up, go around to the side. Fortunately, we still have space underneath where the spire has been built that we can climb up our scaffolding pillar. Kind of want to change this to a bubble column at some point. Maybe once the spire is built and we're not constantly using it for getting up and down inside here. For now, though, it is a fairly effective way of getting around here, especially as we go through our redstone. Actually gone and lit that up. But let's go ahead and get our second layer of water in here. That way our kelp can actually start growing. And once we get the observers in place, this thing will be more or less fully functional. As for collection on this thing, what we should be able to do is we should be able to go ahead and just put a thing of hoppers on the back here, although that's going to be very close to the top there, so we may have to be careful with how we have this. I'm going to go ahead and waterlog all of our pistons here, just in case. I don't think the pistons themselves will break if we waterlog them and become unwaterlogged, just out of carefulness. I'm pretty sure it's an old bug that I'm thinking of that got patched a while ago, but it doesn't hurt to be too careful. Let's get our observers in, get this mostly closed off, and that should be pretty much a functional farm once we get the redstone on the back end. But this should get us a nice supply of kelp, and hopefully we can use this for furnace fuel. We are starting to run a little low on coal, mostly because I haven't gone and fortuned up the coal ore that we have. So what we might do is we might have this all flow into a furnace, have it cook, and then have any extra that the furnace can't keep up with go into storage, have our cooked kelp go into kelp blocks, have the kelp blocks go into storage, at least any extra that isn't being used in the furnace, and with any luck, that should work. It will mean that we will need a extra supply of kelp, so what we'll do is we'll do a line of hoppers along here, and then we can do a wall in the back. It might be hard, we might see the hoppers from here because it's not going to be completely covered. Oh, we'll have to play around with it. And I don't actually have any hoppers on me. We're running a little low on wood because we've pretty much used all of the wood that we had for making chests and hoppers on making the 50,000 chests that we need to put in the storage system. So I'm going to go ahead and get some more wood, get some chests, and get a collection system on here so that it's not just floating on top of the water pool. And then I'll be right back. All right. So a little bit of work later, and we now have the collection system in. So it'll just go and get collected by the hoppers, flow all the way over here, and eventually get put into our furnace. So the way this is currently working is we have one line that's going directly into our furnace, and then when that overflows with the furnace and the two hoppers, then we'll have another line that's going off to our storage. So that comes out here. Then everything that gets cooked in our furnace, which we currently have 28 in there, so we could probably start work on cooking this up. I want to wait a little bit for this to fill up. That way we can actually use a bucket of lava to kickstart our furnace and just get a little bit more kelp. That'll then go into our crafter, which will put it into the water here. That should rise up, go into this hopper here, which will then first fill up our furnace. And then when that's full, we'll go and direct it out to our storage system. I don't know if we have a dried kelp block sorter yet. If we don't, we probably won't need it for a very long time because there are at least 2 or 3 hoppers here before it'll go into storage system. So we have not tested the crafter side yet. We do have a system to automatically run this thing. At least I think it should automatically run this thing. Don't remember what we did for our one on the survival island. I think we actually had that powered by a minecart clock, just automatically pulsing it, but I do not remember. But needless to say, that should go into here, rise up, go into there, and keep fueling this. Now, hopefully, this will be enough that'll keep it self-supplying, and we're not going to be wasting too much of our kelp blocks. But that's why I want to wait for this to fill up a little bit before we start smelting anything. So with that in, that is everything that we have for existing spots that we've carved out in our spire. As you can see, we still have 2 sides to go, at least on these layers here. So we definitely have enough space to put more stuff in here and get the rest of the farms in. It's just a matter of figuring out where they're going to go. Now, I suppose we could probably stick a glowberry farm somewhere in here. That's going to be a little different from the other ones because we need a dispenser for bone meal, which is going to be fun to restock. So we might end up putting that somewhere else. I'm not quite certain just yet. I usually lump it in with the sugarcane, kelp, bamboo, etc. farms because it is a very similar concept and design. We just need the bone meal so that it actually gets us more glowberries. But while we figure that out, I think one of the other farms that we're going to get in is the cactus farm. We have an area here marked out. I believe this is just for a small little section. And it's one that we probably should get in now that we actually have space for dyes. Probably also use this for a little bit of bone meal as well, because these things will produce quite a bit extra. So I think that's a good one to get in next. And we are very close to being done with all of the plant-based farms that we can put into this area for now. So I'm going to go grab some of our sand, grab our cactus, and get at least the basics started. And then I'll be right back. All right, so we have a basic shape marked out for our cactus farm here. I've kind of been working a little bit on getting the shape of the island in. I'm not certain if I want to go ahead and put in a bit of sandstone and actually have the outside of this be sandstone, which we could do. We might actually add some smooth sandstone into that as well, which I think will look really nice. Just have the rough patches of the sandstone and then just have some smoother bits mixed in. But we do have to get the island in, and unfortunately, we are completely out of sandstone. I know we could probably craft some with the sand that we have, but we don't have a whole lot of sand. And I'd rather save the sand that we have in there for actual sand. But first, I do have a bit of cactus. This is a 13 plant farm, so it should produce a decent amount, but not too much. And we're just going to go ahead and put in a normal basic cactus farm here. So we have our fence gates. I can actually place them in here. We'll open those, get this set up, and we should be good. I know I don't have to put them on every single slot in here, but I think it looks a little nicer if we do. But once those are in, we just have this going into 2 hoppers for right now. I'm going to put a chest in there, one side of which is going to go into our dropper system that's going to send everything into the storage system. The other side is going to go into a composter, which we'll use to make extra bone meal. Should be a good balance in there. Basically, we'll just divide up what we make from this farm at 50-50, which, since I still have a lot to dig out, means that we won't get the collection system in quite a while. So having extra storage and turning some of our extra cactus, at least whatever our dispenser system won't be able to keep up with, into bone meal will be fairly nice. So I've got the rest of this to plan out. I'm probably going to go grab a little bit of our sandstone because I can map out some of this with the stone, but not having the sandstone in here to get the actual shape of the island, it's going to make this a lot more difficult. We're just putting it on the outside of the island. The main center of the island is going to be stone. I just think that sandstone will look a little bit better with this island. And it's not like it's the first island that's going to be made of a different material. Our basalt farm island is going to be blackstone. And then we have our nether, mushroom, and grass farm that's all the way on the other side of the pit. That is probably going to be netherrack, maybe blackstone. So having one island that's made of sandstone isn't going to be too big of an issue. We're also probably going to have an endstone island somewhere once we actually get the forest farm in. Might need to move it because I believe it was a little close to the mushroom farm that we built. But right now we need sandstone. So I'm going to go grab a couple stacks of that and then I'll be right back. All right. So we now have a couple layer proof of concept of the island. Not going to be able to get very much more of this from our ghast. We might have to build up some scaffolding. We really can't get too much further down here the way we currently have the floor. So I think that's probably where we're going to leave it. I do need to figure out where we're going to put our dispenser, or dropper rather, to get our cactus out. It's already starting to fill up our hoppers. We don't have very much yet, only 11 pieces apparently, but I know that'll keep producing a lot more, and it is a decently fast farm. So we're going to have to get the storage and bone meal system in soon. But for now, I think that'll be a nice little source. I mean, we do have the cactus flower farm, which is kind of a manual cactus farm, since not all of those are going to have cactus flowers on top. But just having this in place so we can get a little bit of passive cactus going will be nice. Means that we'll have plenty of cactus if we need it for terraforming, and it means that we can finally actually get the path in between our tree farm and the vine farm, which has the connection onto the cactus farm here, which I think is our biggest section of paths on this side of the redstone pit. But for now, I'm gonna probably keep working on this island and some of the other ones. I really need to get a list of all of the islands and everything that we need to get in here and start getting some of that stuff done. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more of what's going on in this area and in the rest of this world. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye!